Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you another video. All right. So, of course, this is against my better judgment. Why? Because I ain't do no homework on the Houston Rockets. I haven't started my homework process, and the game's at 5 o'clock, and I want to talk about the Lakers. Why would I want to talk about the Lakers without actually doing any homework whatsoever on who we're playing or look at anything at all whatsoever at all? Like I said, against my better judgment, I'm going off pure memory. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. I didn't even as much as glance at NBA.com or anything. I'm just talking, literally. So don't take anything I'm saying right now as factual, as most of the time, I'm a roundabout kind of guy. They don't pay me, so you already know. If I say a number, it might be around that right number. I'm not proud of that. It's just who I am. It is who I am. All right, so this is what I want to say. The LA Lakers got to play the Houston Rockets today. And I want them to be a lot more prepared than I am right now at 5 o'clock. You got to be a lot more prepared, man. We talked a lot about what we need to do in regards to having size on the floor, but we also learned that we can, in fact, get away with not having what we need sometimes. And I say sometimes because we have lost games where we didn't have the size, including against, guess who? These Houston Rockets. Last time we didn't have AD out there. And, without looking at the injury report, I think there's reason to believe that he won't be 100% tonight. Everybody expects him to play, but he did roll his ankle in the last game, and we think there's a good chance that he might not be 100% because of that. And when you look at Vanderbilt as well, you worry about his ankle. He came down on it kind of funny. I think he's been playing through that injury the whole time, though, because he rolled his ankle early on with us and didn't even take as much as a day off. So I just think he's such an important piece in the playoffs that I would love to sneak him more rest. Sneak that man more rest, especially since Rui Hachimura is playing better. I understand that we've cut Rui's minutes, but Rui's coming off a plus 20. So I want to see more Winion and more Rui tonight, not because I'm mad at Vando in any way, but because I just need to sneak him some rest, bro. I need to sneak him some rest. It's like I said about Dennis Schroeder about a month ago. We need to do the same thing with Vanderbilt. They need to be sneaked out some rest. Because at the end of the day, we're going to need to lean on them guys in the playoffs like crazy. And I already know how that goes. When you have a player that you need to lean on in the playoffs and they're already hobbled right before the playoffs, you're going to mess around and overuse them in the playoffs without them healing. That will get us beat. Vando is the type of player you need on the floor. You can't have him miss no games. In fact, I could argue you could afford to lose him more so than you can lose a couple of them stars. Because at the end of the day, he's a part of the glue that keeps the entire team together. Stars can definitely provide so much, but role players can keep some of that star power by playing better and taking on more of a role. However, if one of them little cogs is missing, you can have your little superstar out there and they're going to be fighting for their lives, running for their lives, or whatever the case may be, if they don't have that little cog down there making it right. It's just like not having a left tackle or right tackle, whatever the case may be in football. You could have Tom Brady and all them on the floor, but if ain't nobody blocking for him, it ain't going to matter. And so that's the reality of basketball, whether we like it or not. It doesn't matter your superstar in some cases. There's only but so much they can mask on a basketball court, surrounded by professionals. Now, if they're down there with the YMCA team, you know what I'm saying, and they're missing a guy, I don't think it matters as much. But when you're in the NBA, it don't really matter how good you are. The next guy's touched by God, too. He got talent, too. He off in the cosmos, too. So if you don't respect that you need a full team against him, then his talent going to overrun yours without that piece that you need. So that's the reality of it. That's what I understand. No two games are alike. Obviously, we had our last game against the Houston Rockets. It didn't go as planned. We didn't have Anthony Davis. We didn't have LeBron James. And if I'm not mistaken, we didn't have D'Angelo Russell either. I think that was one of them games where we didn't have nobody. So we were still disappointed that we lost, but we understood that at the time, we were so used to not having that we were assessing ourselves as if we weren't missing anything. And that's how much of a luxury having a deep team actually is. You could literally be missing your top 3 players and still have demands upon your team to succeed because you know that they can do it. You know that the players that you have, that are some of the parts that we have without our stars, is still very capable of winning basketball games in the regular season, especially because a team that's supposed to be tanking. Now, the Rockets are not actually in that space today. They stopped tanking about a month ago when they played San Antonio back-to-back. That was like the trigger moment for their schedule for them to switch it. They had just gotten Porter back. And when he's on the floor, you're a little too good to tank with all that they have at this stage, especially with Eason playing better. Some of the rookies that they picked up this year, they have a fuller, better team, and trying to lose on purpose is very difficult when everybody on the roster is as talented as Houston is. It's hard to do, but they find a way. They have a united goal and purpose as a team to get the highest draft pick, and they're not interested in winning too many games. And I think that plays in our favor tonight. They've already lost a game to us. I don't think it's in their best interest to win too many more games. Not that it gives them the highest opportunity to get the first pick, because at this stage, with the NBA changing things as they did in the lottery, it's not. But nevertheless, they should still try to stay as low as possible, just for their goal, just in case. You don't want to play around. You want to give yourself the best possible odds. Even if those odds have parity amongst the bottom three, you still don't want to be in the bottom. You don't want to be in the top four or whatever. You know what I mean? You want to be as bad as you can be. Give yourself the best possible odds. So that is what I think. I think the Houston Rockets may actually go ahead and tank this game. They may. And I'm not saying we should expect it. I'm just saying that's what the outcome may be, because I don't think they really need to be winning more than 22 games. And I think they're at 19 right now. You don't want to play with fire. You got Detroit out there. You got San Antonio out there. And then you got the middle of the pack teams who do have a better chance because of what it is we already said. They got a better chance. A team like, heck, whoever misses the playoffs. Portland has a chance of Wembanyama. You know what I mean? So that's the type of thing where it's like, you don't want to play around if you're Houston. You probably don't want to be getting measly wins against the LA Lakers or anybody else this late in the season. Stick to 19 wins, and you'll never lose. So that's one of those situations where if I'm the Houston Rockets, I'm kind of coming in. Maybe I'm sitting some guys. Maybe I'm not playing the best rotations. I'm not saying that I expect them to tank, because I'm telling you they're not. They haven't been. But I'm saying they might want to turn back on the tank mission starting today. They may want to. And so we should be poised for anything from Houston, whether it be fighting hard, somewhere in the middle, or a big win. Whatever the case may be, if we do get a big lead, if we happen to find ourselves in a position to have a big lead, my suggestion to the Lakers is to rest guys. Rest Braun, rest AD, rest Vando, rest anybody in this game if the timing will allow it. This is the game you sneak rest, because we got the back-to-backs coming up with Utah and the Clippers, and Utah may want to compete. We played them twice. That may give them a little more of a boost to compete against us, just because of the psychological aspect of having to see teams twice. And that's 2 games from now. So the rest that we would get today would help us with anything that comes ahead. So this is the day. This is the day where you play players, you try to build the lead that you think will give you the rest that you need, and then you sneak that rest. This is that day. Now, I don't know if Darvin Ham's thinking that way. The organization may not be, because the wins are so important. The wins are ridiculously important. But I think we're getting to a space of the schedule where you can strategize within the 5 games, ways to start preparing for the longevity of what it is that you expect to be a part of, which is the playoffs. The fight all the way to the playoffs and didn't have no gas. I've seen that happen too many times. Teams push all the way to get to the playoffs, but they don't have anything left for the playoffs. That doesn't necessarily defeat the purpose of getting to the playoffs, but it can make it so that it was an empty process anyway, and it can make it so that your guys are risking health even more because of that push and because of those playoffs and that stress. It's a lot. So you try to sneak a rest in that last week of the season if you're serious about making the playoffs and you're serious about doing damage when you get there. I think that rhythm's important, but healing knickknacks that come about throughout the course of the season is just as important. So those are the type of things that I could tell you guys without doing any homework. Like, that's the type of stuff where you can say, okay, it's basic. Just sneak some rest. Let's get our guys in a position to be 100% fresh if possible, especially guys who have not been getting rest, guys who haven't been injured but have been running the whole time. Just like, I just know that we're going to need those guys. A guy like LeBron James, he is going to try to get himself in rhythm tonight. He's the guy who I think needs to be shaking off rust. You know what I mean? Like, really. I don't know if that means shooting more jumpers. I don't know if that means doing more of the stuff that he hasn't been doing well. I don't know. But we can't have him going into the playoffs looking like he did against the Minnesota Timberwolves. because that's the one thing that we will all happily forget about the Timberwolves game. He didn't play his best. And that's me speaking very kindly. I don't think he had a bad game, but as it pertains to his shooting mechanics, he was not LeBron James. I don't know who he was, but he definitely wasn't the king. The footwork, all of it looked really, really rusty. And that's me being absolutely kind. So my mans know what he got to do. His jump shot was falling the game before that. And we were excited about seeing it fall. But the next day, yeah, he looked like he had stones for legs, man. They weren't quite moving like the LeBron James footwork we expect to see. And that probably has something to do with the foot and everything else, or age, whatever. But he's got to work that out, and he's got to get back to looking like an efficient version of the king. You know, efficiency king is what I call him when he's making a bunch of shots and not missing much of anything. Efficiency king. But when he's inefficient, man, does it hurt? It hurts more than we want to admit, because we have so much respect for his legacy. But the problem that it turns into is consistent defensive intensity. He is not going to be intense on defense as much as some of our younger guys. He's not going to extend himself defensively in ways that we often need that player to be able to keep up with these fast, shifty little players. And so that's really what it comes down to. If his offense isn't on point, we got to respect the possibility of his defense also not translating to successful possessions. And that's something I want LeBron to really meditate on, man. I want him to meditate on that, because in order for us to truly overcome what we are, and I think he's good at this. I've seen him extend himself in this way more than once since he's been a Laker. So I'm not thinking I'm asking him to assess something that's going to be impossible for him to absorb, anything like that. Bron is very good at humbling himself if necessary. He's good at fighting himself as it pertains to humbling himself if necessary. And I really appreciate that trait from a super, super duper famous human being. It's an amazing trait for a superstar. But that's what he does. He humbles himself for the sake of the team, in the presence of being raised as the number one guy in the world. Basically, you're the next Michael Jordan. You're the next Michael Jackson. Like that type of energy that they gave him when he was a kid, and he still was able to humble himself to see situations like this and say, all right, let me pass a little more. Let me step out of my own way. Let me come off the bench on this day. I like what I'm seeing from LeBron James, and I don't think many people who were raised like him in the world he was in would be able to see themselves in that way and not lose their mind. So I think LeBron James is just an extraordinary person as it pertains to what he's taken on with the hype and the yes men and having so many people love and hate him. I can't tell you how much of an inspiration the young man, I call him young because he's a little younger than me, but how much of an inspiration the young dude is when he steps up, absorbs the hate for 20 years, and still manages to defer in situations. Call Anthony Davis a guy that he's a part of his supporting cast. Like, I don't know if my ego can handle that. I don't know that it could have to defer to guys like Austin with respect to their game when I believe myself to be the GOAT. It's like I don't want him to take the ball. What if he messes up? Then it's my responsibility to assure he didn't, and I've deferred to him. He's been dealing with that type of criticism his whole career. You made the pass instead of the shot. You didn't take the shot. All these different things that would develop a certain insecurity about how you're supposed to handle your power and your strength as a player. And I just think he's navigated it about as well as I could have wanted to for myself. So that's what I want to say, man. I'm going to give the King his praise this morning in regards to just stepping aside, assessing what would be best for the team, and then trying to work it into his equation while still maintaining all the different things that he's responsible for. I just sense him stepping back in a way that's not easy. You know what I mean? For Anthony Davis, for the team. And I value it. I value it greatly as somebody who roots for this team and knows that we have one of them great Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson guys who can, sway things just by asking for them. And in the past, maybe we've had some mistakes with our roster. Maybe he swayed some of those. Rumors, media told us what we think we believe. But at the end of the day, I've also seen him humble himself greatly in the presence of circumstances that require him to. And I think that may be required for us to win our next championship with him being a part of it, whether it be this season or in the future seasons. He's going to have to balance, step forward when we need him to step forward, step back when we need him to step back, and have a feel for it. And that's just what the responsibility is. And he's built for it. So that's what I'm asking him to do. Find yourself in that balance, get a feel for what the team needs versus what it doesn't, and continue to give us that role-playing energy that ultimately complements Anthony Davis and the other guys, because we have such a full team that we really don't need him taking not necessarily bad shots, but just superstar shots that ultimately throw possessions away if they don't go. Our superstars, LeBron and AD, I want them to consider their shots and how often they're able to be rebounded. I want us to focus on the next 5 games on doing a better job of rebounding their shots. We want to rebound everybody's shots, but we need to zero in on how the ball tends to rim off when they shoot jumpers. Anthony and Bron tends to shoot jumpers that don't get rebounded. And that is something that, for them to be our superstars, we want them shooting more. But if their shots are going to be the shots that turn into transition buckets, then it hurts the team. So because of where they shoot from, and because of how the offense tends to stand still when they shoot, particularly in these ISO situations, the ball, I'm finding it's harder to rebound. It's harder to rebound when there's not enough motion going on, it seems. When guys just standing in the corners of the 3, waiting for LeBron and AD to pull off a jumper in the corner, those are the type of shots that rim right off into the other team's hands. And so, after watching that so much lately, I just want to see us try to put an emphasis on rebounding those 2 players' shots. What else? I want Vanderbilt to be running so many drills in regards to catching the ball. He needs to be putting in extra work on catching in transition, catching in traffic, catching in motion. Anything involving catching the ball needs to be given extra attention as it pertains to Jared Vanderbilt. While he's on our team, we have got to exercise that demon, man. We got to. He can't be a black hole in fast breaks every time we toss him the ball. It's basically becoming a situation where it's irresponsible to give him the ball in transition. I've never seen a person with that type of deficiency in my entire life. Not on the basketball floor. Not when you have the skills and the athleticism he has. So, it's a situation. And he's still a very young player, so it don't have to stay that way. But we do need to run ridiculous drills in regards to him catching the ball. And we can't be emotional about it. You know what I mean? We can't be emotional about it because this is a very important piece that we want to keep on our team forever. I want Vanderbilt to be on this team for the rest of his career. So I'm not worried about his deficiencies as it pertains to whether or not I can deal with him. Yes, I can deal with him. But the question is, can we make him better in these ways so we don't have these empty possessions? And the answer is, of course. Brother's like 23 years old. He's going to get better catching the ball if we start giving him them reps now. Give him them reps now and let him make mistakes. Let him make those mistakes, but run them drills, man. Run them drills. Because at the end of the day, that's where we end up getting hurt a lot of the time. We want him on the floor, but you pass him the ball and his hands are stone. Like you pass him the ball and it goes off his hands more than it doesn't. And so it's like, all right, that's not going to be a deal breaker for me. But I am going to focus in on it if I'm a coach. I am going to focus in on it if I'm the organization. That boy going to get better at that. Even if he gets marginally better, he going to get better for sure. So that's what we need to do. Work on his weaknesses in that particular way. And if we can get him better in that way, his plus minus goes up every night. Every night. But I think the majority of his negatives go from turnovers and deflections and things of that nature that just come from us passing him the rock and him not doing nothing with it. Going off his hands, not making the dunk, not putting back, none of that. All of that stuff tends to be all over the place for him. So I think that's the strength of Winions, his old teammate. That's why I like putting them on the floor together in theory, because I know they can offset each other and still provide each other's compliments and things that help each other just the same. And I think that's a heck of a front court to have coming off your bench. Which is why I kind of want to move Vando to the bench a little bit, but I don't know if it makes any sense to move Rui to the 4 necessarily. That's bad for defense in theory, even though he's been better, much better lately. So I don't know, but I do want to see Vando, Winion, Vando, AD, Winion, AD. I want to see a lot more of those interchangeable pieces at the 4 and 5 spot. And I need less Vando there for me, to be honest with you. Less Vando there. And put Vando in other areas. Keep his minutes, but slot him around a little different. And I think you can move Vando to the 3 and the 2 as well, if you just for defensive purposes. Just don't run any plays for him offensively anywhere. So as long as you do that, I mean, you could put him anywhere. So let's see. Tonight, I'm looking at everybody. Obviously, like I said, I got to do homework. So I'll do a whole different video on the Houston Rockets entirely. Let's see. where I want to go with that if I don't want to go into tendencies of the Rockets. I've loved what I've seen from Dennis Schroeder. I know that we're starting to understand that him as a backup point guard is probably for us. That's for us. Now, if we want him to play the starting role, that's not what I want Dennis to do. But to be one of my 6 men on a deep basketball team, heck yeah, that's a perfect role for Dennis going forward. So I'd like us to study what keeping Dennis Schroeder can do for us. Obviously, you can also get another point guard in his stead, but I like the idea of continuity. I like his hustle. I love his improvement on defense this late in his career because he's been a significantly better defender this season than he has at any point that I've noticed. And I like what he's given us. I think he's in a good age. I don't think he's falling off next year, Father Time, or nothing like that. He's still very much in his prime. And I think he is who he's going to be. And I like that piece for us at the backup point guard role. I trust him as it pertains to getting to the line repeatedly. Few are going to get to the line as much as he does. I trust him to hustle hard when nobody's down there. He's the one role player that's going to give me star production when stars ain't on the floor. I can count on that. And that's a very important thing. Not everybody has that on their bench. A lot of times that player is a really young player that can't be consistent. With Dennis, he's about 30. He can give you 25 and 8. You know what I mean? It might not be efficient, but he's going to give you that if Bron and AD are out. And that could be the difference in winning. And it has been on a few occasions. So I just like Dennis Schroeder in the role that we now currently have him in with D'Lo in front of him. That's like the perfect spot for him in the league. So if we can keep that at a price, him at a price that makes it so that we're still as flexible as we are right now, I think that might be the move. Give him a nice little deal, keep him as our backup point guard, and just know that we have somebody who can step in and be a 6 man going forward. He can be that. He's done it already with the OKC Thunder. So, yeah, I know people are trying to figure it out. How much should we value DS? He's the guy that often gets forgotten, who does the most work but doesn't get the most praise. But over the last, say, 3 weeks or so, I've been trying to zero in on him a lot more because I've been recognizing exactly how much he's been doing in the fullness of this season. And it's been a good season for DS, man. Really good season, if you ask me. So, yeah, we've had some bad moments. I don't think he's a superstar or star player. He's going to have nights where it doesn't work out. He's not going to, whatever comes with that. But when you try to assess somebody for what it is they bring to the table versus what it is you think you'll need, and you consider what it takes to replace them and whether or not you if it works out for you, whatever, I just look at Dennis Schroeder and say that's a player who definitely wants to be re-signed to a multi-year deal. That's definitely a player who has been waiting for that opportunity for several years. And that's definitely a player who, if for some reason we sign him to a good deal, it's not like he won't be tradable. It's not like he's a dead asset if you got him on a good deal. So that's what I like about Dennis. I don't think there's too many places he wouldn't fit, including LA. So that's why I'm very curious about re-signing him and putting him back in that same role. What else? So, yeah, these are things I'm thinking about, man. I also want to re-sign Rui Hachimura. I understand they only going to give him $10 million a year. I don't know if that's not fair based on how much he's played in his career and how much we've asked him to do this season. I don't think that's not fair. Do I think he can get more? Hard to tell. I think that story can actually be told over the next 5 days in playoffs. I think he'll actually tell that story soon. If he keeps playing the way he did yesterday, he may be able to get a little more. So I don't know that he's played himself up to the fullness of his season this year to a place where he can get more than that. I don't think so. But a lot of things could change between now and the end of these playoffs. So I'm looking at Rui Hachimura saying, you define that, brother. You keep on taking our advice, playing more weak side defensive help and and passing the rock where you can, and not thinking so much about the things that you're so strong at, because those things are already checked off in a box just fine. We got to work on these weaknesses. Salute to Kobe Minute, of course, but that's what I want to see is us try to re-sign most of these guys, man. I know that's not really something I've been able to say over the years because I never really felt that way about our team. It was always something about getting other players. We didn't have what we needed. Even when we had the kids, we couldn't wait to get AD and Bron. It was always something. Now, I don't have that issue. I don't think LeBron James and Anthony Davis as a core are going to last much longer. So I just want to keep some continuity for the rest of their tenure. That's my thing. It's like, all right, they got a team they like. It's a team they can learn to grow with. That's what we need. We need a team that can grow quickly, that knows one another, which we have, that can keep these guys feeling as stable as possible about being whoever they need to be in the regular season so they can carry us in the playoffs. So that's what it's about. If you can give them a team with continuity, enough everything, which we seem like we have, we just need to be able to get through the season where those guys can load manage. Get through a healthy season, get to the playoffs, and you have a core that can win. You got a team that can win. That's where we're at right now. You know, our record don't tell the story. This roster tells the story. And anybody who sees us in the playoffs is got a heavy, heavy task to overcome. So that's where my head is. It's like, let's keep this core of, I always say core, but let's keep this surrounding unit around the core intact so that we'll give ourselves that continuity that we're talking about. And then carrying over, regardless if we get out of this thing with the championship or not, we'll have a team that knows each other even better, having gone through that battle that we're about to go through, whatever it's going to be, and be able to take that momentum in the next season, hopefully with a healthy Mo Bamba, hopefully with a healthy everybody. And we just go forward with what we have, add a lottery pick to it, because we're definitely going to get ourselves a pick, not a lottery pick, but if we make the playoffs, we'll be giving New Orleans the better of the two picks, and they'll give us the worst of the two picks if the swap goes down like I expect it to. So that means whatever New Orleans record will be the reflected pick that you receive. And however bad you are is the pick that New Orleans gets, and that's just pretty much it. So what we want to do is add whatever that piece is. Now, whatever the piece is, whatever they do, we get us a little 20 pick in the draft, 19 pick in the draft, whatever it's going to be, and add that piece to our unit along with what we already have. Hopefully we can incorporate Max Christie. Hopefully we can incorporate Scottie Pippen and Cole Swider next year. And just have a fuller team next year. And so that's what it is, man. You know, you look at the Dennis Schroeder situation, you say, well, maybe Scottie Pippen is who they want to put in that position. So you give that some concern. But at the end of the day, Scottie ain't been there all year. And if that was the plan, they should have had him in some type of rotation. They should have. If they have intentions of making him a big Schroeder's role next year, which they haven't told me they are, I'm just saying if that's what they're thinking, they ain't groomed him for that yet. That's what next season is for, to be honest with you. We're going to groom him into that for the following season. That's what I think the Lakers are going to do, which I think kind of sucks because they could have did that this year. They could have totally did that this year instead of having him in the G League. But I think the G League minutes probably gave him a lot more minutes than he would have got here. So ultimately it works out. I just am coming from the side of the team, and I think the team could have used him a good portion of the season. But here's what it is. The Lakers are taking it slow with Scottie. I hope it doesn't backfire. I hope we're not grooming him for somebody else. That's what I think usually happens. We do stupid stuff like this. Guys get frustrated because you ain't give them no playing time in rookie years. While you were grooming them for you, they leave and go somewhere else because they're pissed about it. Anyway, so that's what's on my mind. Obviously, we talk a lot about Austin Reeves here. Big fan of Austin Thieves, All-Star Reeves, all that. We got the names for him, man. And we just want him to continue to build upon what it is he's doing. Give us more of what he gave us in the last game, which is highly efficient play, assists and things of that nature. Like he always does, get to the line. Don't worry too much about, anything really. Just make your free throws. Be one of the better free throw shooters on this team since we have so much inconsistency there. And continue to get your 7+ assists. That's my target for Austin Reeves. I don't care what you do in the scoring column. Just keep that reputation for being consistent facilitator, because that's really what is going to put you over the top. Shots sometimes fall. Rebounds are going to be effort. But your playmaking is going to be something that is a gift that you can use to step above the fray, is what I would tell Austin. You can always get 7 assists because your talent and the surrounding offensive players are going to allow you to get that. Get a couple passes to AD, get a couple passes to Bron, a couple passes to DS, and you got your assist. So that's what I want to see him do. Just like I say, Rui Hachimura needs to be thinking weak side and assists as well. I think Austin needs to be thinking assists, 7 of them to be exact, and making free throws. If he can be perfect from the line and get his 7 assists, everything else will come to him and he'll be cool. 7 is a lot, by the way. You can't control whether guys make shots or not, but you know if you've gotten off enough passes to make it look as if they did connect, you would have got 7. That's good enough for me, because you don't want to overpass trying to get to 7. It ain't that serious. So that's what I want to see, man. Always do what you do. Always do what you do, but try to incorporate some of your improvements to weaknesses. That's what the scouts are looking for. Do your strengths, but show me some improvement to weaknesses. So yeah, that's what's on my mind, man. Good Laker video here. Like I said, there's more homework to be done in the Houston Rockets. We do play for 5 o'clock today, and I will definitely do all the homework necessary to ensure that we know what we're looking at. And that's what it is, man. I appreciate everybody for rocking with BDF 44, and I'm out.